Welcome back to another episode of A Queen's Roundtable Show. I am your host, Dr. Jacqueline Kaba-Harrison, and A Queen's Roundtable Show streams twice, or actually every week. It used to be twice a month, but every week at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Sunday. So every Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This particular segment that we are doing is I have several experts that are going to be joining me in just a moment. We're actually doing this panel style this time. And the title or what we're going to be discussing tonight is the power of a positive mindset, right? So if you're an entrepreneur or you don't even have to be an entrepreneur, just personal development, professional development, leadership development, it is very important to have a positive mindset. So, the experts that I'm bringing on, they're going to share with you a little bit about who they are, who they serve, tell you all the ins and outs of their businesses. And then we're going to dive in and they're going to be sharing with you different tips and tools and talking to you about the topic and why this is important. So, go ahead, run and grab your cup of coffee, tea, water, your pad and pen, and just get ready. I'm going to go ahead and bring everyone into the studio. Okay. We have Dr. Akua. We have Tonitia. We have Gricelda. All right. Let me see. Hello, everyone. Can everybody hear each other?
Hi,
Hi.
everyone.
Hi, good evening.
All right.
Hello.
Okay. So let's just do this real quick because this is always interesting to me. So, where is everybody at? I'm in Michigan.
And I'm in
I'm in
Michigan.
California.
Oh, wow.
I'm in North Carolina.
I'm
East
in Rhode
Coast.
Island,
Okay.
Northeast.
Okay. So everybody's on Eastern Standard except for Dr.
Little OP.
Look, so it ain't even nighttime for you yet.
No.
Okay. All right, ladies. Well, welcome back. I think everyone I've worked with, except for oh gosh, Mrs. Alexander. I know we
Alicia. I'll
Alicia.
tell you, you can call me Ali. That's what my family call me
Ali.
for short.
Okay.
Ali.
Okay. I like that. I can handle that. So I know you and I have talked a couple of times on via Zoom, but this is our first time actually collaborating. So I'm excited, looking forward to that, and hopefully you all know each other, and you can link up and collaborate at some point later on down the line. All right, so let's get started. The power of a positive mindset. So the reason this is important to me is because as I was growing up, I grew up in a household that was extremely, extremely critical. If I got a B in a class or on an assignment, it was, oh well, why wasn't this an A? Things of that nature. Like whatever I did was never good enough. I was never really taught to celebrate my wins. I was taught that if I focus too much on a win or being too positive, air quotes, overly positive about something, that meant somehow that I would become complacent. So I've really had to work on undoing all of that and kind of cleaning out the bad stuff, if you will, and putting the good stuff in order to be able to not just be an entrepreneur, but to be able to feel better about myself and be able to achieve whatever goals I have, personal, professional goals that I have. So this is very dear to me. And this, obviously goes hand in hand with one of my specialty topics, which is how to increase your self-esteem. So this is my area. So that's that's what I'll share for now. So let's go ahead and go in order. So Dr. Akua, go ahead and share with us, why did you, well, first tell us a little bit about yourself and about your business.
Yeah, I am Dr. Akua. I am the Black Woman's Wellbeing Coach, and I use trainings, I use keynotes speaking, I use one-to-one coaching, my books and other products to help Black women discover and recover our wellness and to discover the power of authenticity.
That's great.
Yeah, that's one of the things I always remember about you is authenticity, about showing up authentic. Okay. All right. Miss Tonitia.
Yes. Awesome sauce, Dr. Cool. Well, my name is Tonitia Langley. I'm a wife, mother, grandmother, education enthusiast, and a thought leader. I'm a founder and senior education consultant of Enrichment Strategist Services, LLC, an education consulting firm. Let's Talk K-12 education show host and content creator for Awesome Radio WECU and Realizing Your Potential TV network. So I specialize in curating innovative, tailored experiences that transform learning for K-12 institutions and education-focused companies to awaken aspirations from inside out to drive measurable success.
Okay. Yes, awesome show, by the way, too. Awesome show. If you all
Thank you.
haven't checked it out, you gotta check it
Thank you
out.
for giving me the platform. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, Ali.
Well, hi everyone. I am Alicia Alexander. Short for Alicia is Ali. My family named me that as a baby. My business is Make a Difference Consulting. Personally, I serve two roles. I am a doctoral student at Grand Canyon University. Go Lopes.
So am I.
And my program of study is Doctor of Education, organizational leadership with an emphasis on organizational development, qualitative research. And so this leads me to what I do. I am an expert in organizational excellence. So I help companies practice employee advocacy, taking characteristics of trust, confidence, well-being, authentic appreciation, and forgiveness into the work culture so that the staff could feel appreciated, respected, and respected for the job that they do for the company.
Okay.
Very good.
Well,
Thank
welcome.
you.
Very good.
Miss Gricelda.
Hi, I'm Gricelda Ramsey, and I'm also a doctoral student at Grand Canyon University. So
Go Lopes!
Go Lopes. And I'm doing my doctorate in organizational leadership, also with the emphasis in behavioral health. And so I'm just interested in at the organizational level how we manage behavioral health and advocate for the need for those components to be in place for people to access treatment and not have to be afraid at the level of organization. So my dissertation primarily is dealing with female athletes and Black female athletes, African American female athletes, and just understanding that people who look like them are not readily available at that level of mental health when they need to seek out help, and so they are often stigmatized and suffer in silence. So that's kind of like where my dissertation is driving. Every day I do my private practice. I am a therapist, and I work with individuals, and I do a lot of relationship coaching and couples coaching, just trying to restore and remove barriers that come up and hinder us from going forward in our relationships, whether it be individually, with our careers or whatever it is the case may be. My niche is working with women and working with couples. And recently, I'm starting to work with a lot of men on different areas, which I'm so glad that they're now embracing the opportunity of counseling. And one of my main things I do through speaking engagements and other consultations is bringing awareness in different communities, like the faith community, about mental health, or different communities where there is a stigma or some kind of barrier about the need to seek mental health and be your best self. So that's pretty much what I do.
Okay, love it, love it. And
Thank you.
you know what? And then I guess I was thinking as you were talking. So, well, you know what? Let me go ahead and give my I guess tell a little bit about me. I just assume people know, but maybe they don't. So, I also work as a therapist, and I as a therapist, community mental health. And those that have done community mental health know all about that. But one of the things I wanted to mention is that I think overall people have a tendency to gravitate towards such negative thinking. So
Oh,
I also think that that's another reason why it's important to do panels such as this, because just the world that we live in, and with everything that's going on, I just think like with these talk shows, and I think people are just I don't know what's the word, just tied into other people's drama and other people's negativity. You know what I mean? And you don't necessarily have to be a business owner, but just for your own mental health and your own personal development, I think that people need to really cultivate, this whole positive mindset piece. And if there's an individual that is kind of chipping away at it or making that difficult, then you need to kind of really take a look at that person and evaluate, if that person needs to stay in your life and have a certain amount of access to you. So we're going to go in order. So having said that, Dr. Akua, why did you decide to answer the call, so to speak, and be on this panel? Or why do you think it's important for us to have conversations such as this?
Yeah, a part of the work that I do is helping people to cultivate positive mindsets. And when I think about positive mindsets, that doesn't mean negating, things that happen that are unfavorable. A positive mindset, the way I think about it, is like the consistent patterns of thought that we entertain or that we constantly have. And so one of the things that I support people with is cultivating that positive mindset. So this podcast was like right up my alley. Something that you mentioned when you were telling your own story is that, a lot of us come from backgrounds that have some unfavorable experiences. And some of those unfavorable experiences were throughout our childhood or significant in one way or the other. And it can help us, it can create this negativity within us. And so one of the reasons that I wanted to be on here is to be able to lend my voice to this conversation, that it is possible to have a background that isn't necessarily, favorable, and to cultivate a mindset that still holds on to hope, that still embraces belief and faith, while at the same time being honest about some of the crazy stuff that we might have experienced then and some of the crazy stuff we might be experiencing now. So yeah, I thought it was perfect timing, especially considering everything that's currently going on in the world right now. Yeah, I know. We know.
What? I just got an earful, coming from work, and so many people are traumatized, by a lot of what's going on. So it's just like, it's real talk. I literally just had someone in my office like in tears, and dealing with different like family issues and so forth around it. So this is I agree. I think this is the perfect time, and a good time of year too.
I agree. Yeah.
The end of the
Absolutely.
year, and
Absolutely.
so, but Tonitia.
I would definitely agree. Thank you, Dr. Kaba-Harrison, for having me up here. This is one of my most favorite. It isn't what I do. it's embedded in what I do as a consultant and a coach. But this is my favorite topic because this is actually my very first speaking assignment back in 2020, 2021, around mindset and paradigm shifts to mindsets. But I've evolved so much since then, and I feel this topic is important because it is basically the basis of my business. I was able to reinvent my life and chart a new journey for myself with positive mindset. I left a comfortable, cozy profession as a classroom teacher and leader to be an entrepreneur, from grief stricken to growth, from employee to empowered, from learning to set healthy boundaries when loving others to learning the skill set and the power to add myself in the equation, and learning to love me more to protect my peace and mental health. So I kind of come from the same thing that you guys come from, except for mine was mine was the positives of coming from a very healthy, tiny family. And what that did was, I'm a family girl. But the bad thing is, us as African American women, we just know to nurture and love and carry so many burdens. And so many of us have this false notion of, I'm a superwoman. Well, I took my S off my chest and I threw it away. I burned it. I'm empowered. But being a family girl was a blessing. But then it also, my mindset was around training people to love me the wrong way, and then getting upset with them when they continue to let me down and I continue to show up for them and they didn't show up for me. So I could go on. A positive mindset is what you see sitting before you on this panel. I could go on and on and on about it, but yeah, I reinvented my life behind being able to stand empowered with a positive mindset. And I'll turn the mic back over because I could go on and on and on, because it's a powerful thing if individuals learn how to utilize it, cultivate it, love and nurture it like they would do their bank account, love affair, marriage, or anything else. But I'm going to pass the mic to someone else on that one. But thank you so much for having me to talk about one of my very favorite topics.
I like that, cultivated. Oh, I like that, right? Just like you cultivate anything else. Okay. Ali?
Well, I thank you, Dr. Jacqueline, for having me here this evening. This topic is dear to me because, as one of my favorite faith leaders says, what you think about, you bring about. So when you think of things, or allow the pressures of life to come to you and make you worry, make you doubt, make you afraid, make you think things are so awful and there's no escape, sometimes you gotta reach out or have somebody reach in and help you change your thinking. I like to say that my favorite scripture is from Philippians 4:8, because it encourages us to think of things that are true, honest, just, pure, lovely, of good report. If there's any virtue, if there's any praise, think on these things, which helps you to move forward, especially in corporations and in the workplace. You can move forward because your mind is not burdened with the negativity of this world. Coming from being at a Christian school like Grand Canyon University, I use this stance to say that we need to train our thoughts, and it's work. I will say it is work, but we need to train our thoughts to be on the positive side versus allowing cares of this world to be dragging us down and being on the negative side.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ali.
All right, thank you, Dr. Jackie, also for having me on here. And this topic is important to me because it's what I do every day. Trying to get people to, understand that our paths don't determine who we become. It determines, just because it happened to us don't mean it is who we are. Whether it's, trauma or disappointment or failures or whatever the case may be, it's not who we have to be. It's what has happened to us. It's our circumstances. So that's kind of what I do every day, to try to help people realize that. And I like what Dr. Akua said about being authentic and living in your authenticity, because I myself had that journey of being authentically me. You know, wherever I'm at and wherever I go, I'm now at a point in my life where I can be authentically me. So I try to share that with others to get them to be on that journey. And for some, of course, it takes a lot longer than others, depending on the kind of trauma they've had or the kind of messages and narratives they've had played into them. And so our goal here is to dispel the narrative that people have been living by, to try to shift that thinking and shift the behavior. And we all can, I'm sure, tell about our own journeys in that, you know, when you're dealing with fear and doubt and lack of confidence and like Tonitia said, you know, being the person who carries so much weight on you because it's what's expected and not making the time for yourself. So that's what this panel to me is about, is really putting that information out so people can take that information and hopefully change some of the things that they're thinking about and doing and prioritizing that are not important, and setting those boundaries to really protect, like she said, to protect your peace, protect your own journey, you know, what's not valid and not needed in your life, you know, not getting caught up in that kind of stuff, that because it doesn't play a role in you going forward. It just keeps you in your sick or your thinking, so to speak. And so that's why this topic is important. So I thank you so much for having me as a part of this panel also.
Right. Well, thank you for being a part of it. And, you know, I just kind of wanted to piggyback a little bit on that. You're absolutely right. That is what, as a therapist, you know, often when people come in, you know, suffering from anxiety and depression, which is oftentimes it's a lot of, you know, women of color. And, you know, it's because of the whole, and I can't remember who mentioned it, maybe it was Tonitia, but the whole idea about this superwoman and, you know, putting on this cape and taking care of everybody else except for yourself, you know, and that compounded with trauma and things of that nature, and just kind of getting into a pattern of negative thinking. So, you know, I totally agree with that. It's teaching people how to think a different way, you know, and as a coach, you know, whether it be, you know, whether you're in education, whether you're, you know, teaching people how to, I don't know, how to show up in their business, you know, in terms of like personal development, or whether you're talking about business strategy, you know, whatever the case is, this is, I feel this, and self-confidence is pretty much a component of everything, you know, because you have to believe in yourself. You got to have a positive mindset, because if you don't, like, how far is that going to take you? You know, how are you going to stay motivated? You don't stay motivated, you're not going to stay consistent. You know, if you don't stay consistent, then how are you going to see the results that you want to see and have the impact that you want to?
Absolutely.
That's so true. I'm gonna say Dr. Jackie. I'm so used to calling you Dr. Kaba-Harrison, but that's so formal. I would have to say, you know, across all of the, you know, the screens here in our various industries, we're dealing with people. In fact, I'll give you an example. Today, I'm a reading specialist. So when I'm not doing consulting, I'm, you know, just stepping back into what I know, which is education. And I had a little guy, he took his assessment today. And so I brought them back. I had some time to talk with them. And I just asked the question, you know, hey, how do you think things went? You know, did you utilize any of the strategies? Where are you thinking? And the first thing, I've had them working on reading affirmations. And the first thing he says was, I know I failed. So that is on a small level. So even in what I do, it's in Jack and Dr. Jackie, what you're saying is it's ingrained in everything that we do as entrepreneurs and in our industries and as coaches and consultants, of which I do both. This is basically the basis and the foundation that intertwines with personal development, because it doesn't matter. I don't care. You pay all the money for coaching and consulting all day long if you want to. If you don't start, you know, with changing, having those paradigm shifts, I don't think you can get very far. Because you know, you have to believe in it. You know, we can give you the tools all day long, but if your mind hasn't wrapped around the fact, like my little guy today that I talked to, it doesn't matter. So I'm starting to work on that level. It starts there, because why does he feel that way as a little person? After I've been coaching them, or being their reading specialist for about 2 weeks now, and working on reading affirmations of them being successful and proficient readers, having them say it, having them write it down, and he still is stuck in, I'm just going to fail. So I know that brings it down to a little person's level, but a lot of us as adults struggle with that as well, as far as the mindset is concerned, Dr. Jackie. So you hit it on. It's the foundation to everything, in my opinion.
Mhm.
It's just like when
I
you
think,
ask people how they're doing, they be like, I'm making it, or I'm here, or you know what I mean? It's just, or like, well, but I'm not, I can't complain, because if I did, ain't nobody gonna listen. You know what I mean? I just think it's just so ingrained in us, just in this particular culture. I don't know about other cultures, cross seas and so forth, but I know here, I think it's just kind of ingrained. Like people come, and I'm gonna say this, and then you can go ahead and jump in. But even the weather, have you realized that people, even when it's hot outside or the summertime,
Mm.
people still complain? You know what I mean? And I thought, and I literally just paid attention to that. It's like a lot of times, people complain about the cold. Okay, don't be nodding your head over. I know you don't know. No
it's
food.
cold. It's
I'm in the
cold.
Northeast. I'll tell you about the cold.
I know. I know.
But you
I
know
don't.
what I mean? It's like, of course, who wants, I don't want to go outside in a blizzard, but this is Michigan. Okay. But even when the weather gets warm, people are, oh, it's just so hot out there. You better, make sure you stay out that sun now. You might get what is that, heat exhaustion? You know what I mean? But it's just like, dang, y'all. Y'all can, like we complaining when the weather's warm. We just gonna complain all year round, right? So yeah, I just think it's just an overall consciousness, and even today now, I think we even more so have to fight against it. And even this young man that you're speaking of, he hasn't even had any real life experience. He ain't even really got knocked down, and here he is thinking this. So okay, all right. So go ahead. I think Dr. Cool, you want to share something?
Yeah, I was gonna say two things. One, I love that, Tonitia, that you're working with young people, because that's really where it starts. If you think about all of the messages that we get as Black people in this, like you were saying, in this culture, like here, a lot of the messages that we get, they're very covert. They're not blatant, but we hear all of these different messages about how we can't, why we can't, the fact that we can't, the fact that we ain't, the fact that we won't, and and they're so, they come at us at such a high rate, even sometimes when we don't realize it, like you're describing, Dr. Jacqueline, like, oh, it's so hot. It's too hot. I hate it when it's hot. Oh, it's so cold. Gosh, I hate it when it's cold. What our brain does is it protects us from disappointment. And so the way that we keep ourselves from being disappointed is when we take a test. We take all those messages that we received and we're like, you know what? I must have failed. If we succeed at that thing we knew we just failed at, we'd be like, well, I guess that was luck. Rarely do we in this culture give ourselves credit, but rarely are we permitted to give ourselves credit, because again, we have all those messages. I was talking to a client the other day about how we get all these messages that, achieve, accomplish, do, and that, it becomes this level of, status. But then when we do achieve, accomplish, and do, it's like, oh, well, be humble. You shouldn't talk about it so much. You shouldn't, that's bragging. So we get all these conflicting messages about how we celebrate. We get all of these other messages about how we won't have anything to celebrate. So to protect ourselves, we just go into this bubble. I probably failed. Oh yeah, I know I did that thing. I know I have this little job. It's no big deal. I'm running this business. It's no big deal. I've got this. And those messages are repeated and we practice them. And by the time we get to our age, we've perfected them. And so they need us who are on this call to be able to help us see through all of those things. And thankfully, it doesn't take us long to stop believing them that it did for us to start believing them. But that's why we're needed in the ways that we are, because we've marinated in it for so many years.
And especially us as women for some reason, right? Because men have a tendency to kind of sometimes be a little overinflated about, about themselves and what they can do.
That was such a nice way to say that.
Whereas we're like, oh, you know what I mean? We want to kind of say, oh no, I didn't have anything to do with that. We want to basically just kind of stand back and, like you said, not we don't want to boast about it. We don't want to be too overly confident and things of that nature. So I think it's kind of like a double whammy, being a woman, because it's just like society is quick to tell a woman to
Stay in your place.
yeah, right. There you go. Stay in your
Ooh.
boasting and
And
all
I
that.
think for men, when you see a man who's overinflated, it's because he's insecure in somewhere, some area he's insecure. And so he must overinflate himself, whether in deed or word, in order to make another person feel less than and make himself feel more than. So that's my experience. When you have a man who talks a lot or who overinflates, it's because he's insecure somewhere. Because, for any of us, moving in silence speaks volumes. You don't have to be loud and boisterous and aggressive. You can just move in silence. People will see the work that you do. They don't have to always boldly hear the work that you do.
I think that's the true meaning of being meek, not weak, but meek, and being humble. At times it's good to state that you did something great,
Absolutely.
but it's how you do it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with celebrating your wins. And I think that one thing that's good about this panel is that, like I said, I'm sure we all had our journey of getting to where we are, but even in that narrative of negative messages we hear along the way in society, or internal in our own families, or internal in our churches and things like that, one thing is not promoted is that you celebrate your wins. And you can't do that without bragging. You should celebrate your wins because these are your achievements or your accomplishments. And it should be okay for you to do that.
Yeah, but sometimes we, and I don't want to, this is kind of taking it a whole nother direction, or yeah, kind of in another direction. But I also think it's important to mention that sometimes we do it to each other. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, oh, she just bragging, or she thinks she, she got a little boutique somewhere. She thinks she all that, you know what I mean? She consulting. Who she consulting? You know what I mean?
Look, her little business.
That's what I was going to say. The little is the insult. Like, oh, you got your little business. You just insulted me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's what we call toxic positivity.
Right.
I like that. I like that.
I learned that today from another group. Toxic positivity.
Toxic positivity. Okay.
Yeah. I think I like to say, and I forget, Gricelda, how you said it, but being proud of our accomplishments, it gets policed in one way or the other.
It does, yeah.
And so we learn, again, we take that as a lesson, and we learn how to mute ourselves, and we learn how not to celebrate ourselves. And then that positive mindset starts to kind of degrade a little bit because, well, I don't want to say anything. The more we mute ourselves, the more we make it easier to have that mindset that's not necessarily positive. Because if I can't talk about it, because my just celebrating might be seen as bragging to somebody else, or it might be seen as boastful to somebody else, the more I mute that, the more I mute myself. I'm participating in my own erasure.
Absolutely. I like that. And on top of that, we need to learn how to celebrate others. Because as my sister, I should be encouraged by what you do, yes, knowing that if you can do it, so can I, in my own space, in my own area, instead of tearing you down because you're achieving what I want to do in the first place. But I don't have the courage, or I have all this fear and doubt in my own ability. And so I tear you down in the process, and I don't have to do that.
Can I jump in for just a second and kind of tie in for those that's listening? and wrap it around positive mindset. So I've been a little bit of a strange unicorn in my industry. So my results put me at these tables that I don't fit in with anybody. And and I'm gonna go back to mindset for just a second. So I've always been a leader. So for instance, when I started my teaching career, in ELA, all these people talking about all these books they've read, and I'm just sitting back because I'm not an avid reader, but yet I have great results. I was on this leadership team in the district, and they were sitting back and they were diving deep into the curriculum, and I knew the curriculum, but that wasn't what got me my high yielding results. So I say all that to say this: mindset would have said, you're just an anomaly that end up in these places all the time. So I think I got to go back to Dr. Akua. When you talk about authenticity, I knew who I was. Like, that is not what drives my results. I know who I am, and I know people. So it doesn't really matter about curriculum. It doesn't really matter about the books that I read. I understand who I am, and I know how to evoke those transformations in people. So I think it's good for me to say that, because some people will feel like they're rare, or that they accidentally end up in these places where they don't actually mesh with everybody on these teams that they're on, or in these cohorts that they're in. So I'm taking it a whole other different route, because sometimes if people don't authentically know the power that they stand in, they will think that something is wrong with them. So I'm a unicorn. I'm there with you. I haven't fit in any place with all the leadership that I've been given and the opportunities that I've been given, because my results are driven by my positive mindset and understanding people. So I just wanted to kind of take that spin on it, to wrap it around the things that Gricelda and Miss Alexandra was saying, and Dr. Jackie, you guys were saying, because sometimes we don't go out the box when we're talking about positive mindset, to say, because everybody's like, well, maybe I'm here because of A, B, and C, and sometimes you're there because of X, Y, and Z. You're there for different reasons. So understand that your mindset has to tell you you're there for a reason. You don't accidentally consistently get these outstanding transformations and these outstanding outcomes, even though in these places, these boxes that you're in, you're what do you say, the square peg in the circle hole or something like that. Mm-hmm. I've been that person. So understanding the mindset that I have made me stand out instead of making me seem weird. So I just wanted to bring that out, because I feel like God was leading me to say that someone may be watching this and say, I'm just weird and strange because I don't really fit with everybody, these circles and cohorts that I'm in. But yes, you do. You belong there by results. You belong there by the mindset and the transformations that you cause, even though your route may be different than everybody else's. So I just felt led to say that as it pertains to the power of a positive mindset, that put me in a lot of spaces and places that I probably wouldn't typically be. But I just had to say that so people don't feel weird when they're like, I don't relate to any of these people, but yet you're constantly in those spaces and places.
So here's the educator. See how the educator came out there, y'all, and tied all that together? Mm-hmm. So let's talk about tangible. And I know we kind of, touched on it a little bit, but I want everybody to leave something for the audience that's listening to be able to kind of take and start, working, chipping away and being able to work at, let's say, they acknowledge, I know my mindset is not the best. I need to improve my mindset, but I still don't quite know how to go about doing that. I guess we can still go in the same order.
Okay, so that's me. I was like, oh, okay. I think if I were to give a tangible or practical, tidbit or pointer, the thing that's coming up to me is to embrace curiosity. Mm-hmm. When we have these different thought patterns. Again, remember when I'm working from the definition of a mindset being this consistency in our thinking patterns. So when we notice that they're leaning more towards, things that are less hope-filled, less faith-filled, less believing for good and better and positive things, start to ask questions of yourself. Yes, I'm saying talk to yourself.
Absolutely.
Where does that come from? Why did I say that to myself? Why did I just now erase myself? Why did I just now act like that accomplishment that I'm really proud of wasn't a big deal? Where did that come from? Do I really believe that? Would I say those things I just said about myself to or about another person? And if not, why would I then say it to myself? And if I would say it about another person, why? Right? Embrace curiosity about where you stand with these thoughts, these thought patterns, and then listen, and then start to seek ways that you can work to shift it. So I think that would be one thing I would share.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Nice, Dr.
Yeah.
Akua. The shift. So we're talking about the shift, and my one golden nugget that I will give to our panel, to our listening and viewing audience to put in their stash is obtaining a positive mindset. It's cliche what I'm going to say. You've heard it a million times, but it's true. Is that positive mindset is a muscle that has to be built, managed, and maintained in order to benefit in the empowerment to stand in it. So that's my one nugget. It's a muscle. Just like you don't want any atrophy. When you don't use it, it becomes limp and small. So that positive mindset, it has to be maintained and built like a muscle. So that's my golden nugget for people to put in their stash.
I like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
What I want to share is that to capitalize on what Tonitia had said. I don't know if it's Dr. Tonitia, but should be Dr. Tonitia. Anyway, saying that we are chosen and appointed of God. We all have something within us, so that when we find ourselves in different circles that they invite us into, don't feel like, why am I here? Just know within yourself you are chosen and appointed to do something good. It's taken from Ephesians 2:10 that we are created for good works beforehand. All we have to do is be ourselves, and that special gift within us will be seen.
Okay. Like that.
I like that too. My nugget or that I can leave is when you talk about positive mindset, kind of what Dr. Akua was sharing put me in the mind of cognitive behavioral health. I mean, the therapy. It's about changing reconstructing those patterns of thinking and those patterns of behavior, changing that narrative. And I always say, nothing changes if nothing changes. And so in order to take that first step, it comes with making a decision and changing the way that you think about that decision and that choice. And we know that's not easy to do all the time because you have been given all these messages. But I like what Alicia said, that instead of telling yourself that you don't belong in this setting and asking why are you in this setting, embrace that you're in this setting for such a season as this. And that's one thing that I had to tell myself, that if God brings me to it, he's going to get me through it. And that helped me deal with a lot of my fear about being in certain platforms, and in this doctoral program, for the first time ever in the doctoral program, I had imposter syndrome. Didn't even know what it had, never encountered it before. People were just starting to talk about it, more often. And I know it's been around a long time, but I found myself there, as well as I noticed that a lot of the students found themselves there too, especially a lot of the African-American students. But you belong in the setting that you're placed in because it's our appointed opportunity and purpose. There's a reason for us being there. We are to leave something for not just ourselves, but for the people that are coming along, or like the listeners here tonight. We are to leave something that people can embrace and take away with them from our experiences and our knowledge. So nothing changes if nothing changes.
Right. Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah, I wrote that down. And I cite my sources.
Nice.
Dr. Gricelda.
So
Were you going to say something, Ali?
No, I was
Oh, okay.
giving her. I'm from the Caribbean, so when I say it the way we say it, I'm just picking her up.
Well, what I wanted to add is this is also tools that I use or that I use personally and also, share with others about increasing my self-esteem. It works both ways in terms of creating a positive mindset, which is one, which was mentioned earlier. I think it was Griselda, that mentioned it about celebrating your wins. I think celebrating something positive about yourself, or a something you've achieved, is celebrating something positive about yourself,
Mhm.
and what you've accomplished, as far as working towards your goal, and it doesn't matter whether it's an educational goal, um, you know, whatever your goal is, the goal of your business to, increase sales in your business, whatever the case is. But to be able to acknowledge it, don't feel as if you have to shrink down, or that you're going to be boastful or somehow jinx yourself, because I've had all of those kind of thoughts in the past. But, to be able to look at it and acknowledge it as something positive. And secondly, I don't think this is stressed enough, is to pay attention to who's in your circle.
Mhm.
For me, that is huge, because I know that when I first started my business, let me take a quick sip of my water. Throat gets a little dry. When I first started my business, I mean, no one around me was dealing in entrepreneurship, right? Everybody, I'm here, I'm in the Midwest. And so I think you kind of know this too. Being here, in the Midwest, like, this is Michigan, Chicago, Ohio, Wisconsin, you know, growing up, it was always go to school, get a good job, or maybe get a job in the plant.
Absolutely.
Right. So it, no, like this whole entrepreneurship, it's like still people look at you like, what are you talking about? And I really don't have many personal examples of that at all. So as I'm, staying up all night trying to get what are those things called? Trying to get a funnel system set up. I don't know if any of you have worked with lead pages, but me and lead pages trying to get a whole funnel system set up, we have had some times back and forth. So, even talking to someone about that, like they were like, what are you talking about? Or girl, you need to just focus on your job, doing better at your job, and forget all that business stuff. So it's like I noticed that once I began to get into Facebook groups with other women entrepreneurs, so actually mompreneurs in particular, because my son he'll be 14 now, but obviously in 2016, he still had to be, he's young, had to be minded. Like I'd be doing videos, he'd be popping up in the back of the video, things of that nature. So very important to me to be around other people that understood that, and basically kind of talking the same language. So doing that, and this is just doing all of this virtually, that really helped me with my mindset. And it really helped me so much. I mean, I can't even really verbalize how much that helped me. Just simply being around other like-minded individuals. So, and I know we go to conferences and we may run into other, people that are doing similar things or just have a similar mindset, a similar zest about their business, but just even in your personal life, whether it's a spouse, whether it's your sister, your brother, your mother, your father, you have to be very, very careful who is in your inner circle. And it really makes a big difference in terms of your attitude, your outlook on life. So
Dr. Jackie, I have to say what you're talking about. I've followed another YouTube, and I can't call her name right this second, but she
hmm,
called that personal board of directors.
personal board of directors. You mean
Personal board,
like
your inner circle, yeah, personal board of directors. Um,
okay.
and you're right. Even if you're in one profession and you transfer out to be an entrepreneur, those people is hi bye. This is my kid's birthday. This is our anniversary. It's more along those conversations. What I've learned in my experiences than, oh my goodness, I don't have my this set up, or like you said, my funnel, or going to this conference, or SEO and all that stuff. They don't know anything about it.
Right.
And I've learned the mindset doesn't mean that they don't love you. It just means that that's not where they are. You're not on the same page.
Right.
And so I learned to not let my mindset go, well, maybe this isn't something that I should do. I was like you, Dr. Jackie, had to say, oh, this is what they're not doing, so they don't have they can't relate.
Yep.
So that's what I learned as well. So personal board of directors is what she called it.
Board of directors.
And I think in general, people tend to rain on you because of their fears. Like they'll put their fears onto
Yeah.
you. Not, especially if it's someone in your family, is because they love you. They don't want to see you in a bad position, but it's their fears.
Right.
And you have to silence their fears because you're already dealing with the fears and doubt in your own head. You definitely don't need to hear anybody else's stuff. So you have to learn how to, I love you, when I decided to do this full time, because my mother is such a worry wart, she was the last person that I told I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do this full time, because in her mind. And at the time that I told her, the way I said it was not rude or disrespectful, but she understood that I was very firm in my decision.
And that's a big deal. When you start, stepping out on faith and taking risk. If you talking to some people, just there are a lot of people out there that operate out of fear, and they play it safe, and that's okay. But
So
like you
that
said, they may be projecting that. Like, I know I've had that a lot. I've had people say to me like, "Oh, what makes you think you can do that?" Even though that's a little bit on the negative side. But I'm telling you, I have been through a lot in terms of people that love me, that were projecting their fears onto me, and people that just didn't want to see me basically do any better, quote unquote, do any better than them. So I've been through so much of that. That's what I said, it's so important to me. Even being around people who do a lot of talking about other people. They may not necessarily be talking,
Yeah, I agree.
talking down, or you know what I mean, but being more careful about individuals, like what's coming out of their mouth. Like, when you really go and sit down and talk with someone, what are they really talking about? Are they talking about Diddy and Diddy's party, or Beyonce, or what? I'm not concerned. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't feed me. That don't have nothing to do with me doing my live tonight and trying to develop myself. you know I don't really care. So I'm just saying that, not that that's bad. I'm not saying that, but I make a conscious choice to be around individuals that are constantly looking to develop themselves, constantly looking for personal development, right?
Absolutely.
And you don't necessarily have to be an entrepreneur. You could just be someone that's maybe reading a book a month because you want to increase your knowledge base, or maybe you decided that you diabetic and you want to revamp your whole diet, right? You know what I mean? I'm constantly looking to surround myself with individuals that have a positive outlook, and individuals that are trying to improve themselves, basically trying to be a better version of themselves today than they were yesterday. Just as simple as that. And that has made a huge difference in my life and in my business.
I
Absolutely.
think we sometimes, with our circle of influences, you have one level of those who are going to speak their fear, but you also have the people who are just hanging in the back, hoping to see that you make it, just to see if you can make it. So that's why we need to keep our positive mindset and show them, yes, you're right. I can make it, and I believe I can.
Absolutely.
Look, they're waiting in the back. They don't want to jump on just yet. They're like, let me wait and see,
Yes,
if her ship is
exactly.
gonna sail
They
or
don't
not.
want to say anything, but they're waiting to see if you'll do it. And once you do it, they'll be like, yeah, she had it all along.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
any closing remarks? I mean, as far as sound like we had a funeral, right? Anybody want to say? I'm sorry, I had so much loss recently. Just oh boy. Okay, so anybody want to piggyback or make a comment about anything that we shared or that we haven't shared as far as our topic? And then, go ahead and do that. And then after that, we'll just close out and let everyone know how to find us and things of that nature.
Well, I just want to say it was a pleasure to be on here with you ladies. Expanding your circle of people and knowledge, different knowledge and different people. I like the fact that you all are in different locations, gives me somewhere if I ever go to those places to visit. Hey, let me look this person up. And so I think that's important. Not that you should throw away the people that you have necessarily, unless they're very toxic, then you don't want to entertain that at all. But you need to diversify your surroundings. And so I really appreciate being on tonight with you ladies, and getting your nuggets and information and input tonight, as well as I'm sure our audience appreciates that also.
I concur.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I do too. I really enjoyed you ladies. And thank you all for being here and, discussing this topic and bringing your wealth of knowledge. So much appreciated. So everybody just, give the audience your social media handles, maybe your website,
I was just getting ready to ask that.
things of that nature. We go in the same order.
Sure. I am on socials, all of the socials at Akua Rose. Yeah, and on the socials you can find the link to my link tree and about me and all of the wonderful things that I do in the world.
So you on all of the platforms, TikTok,
I,
Twitter, everything?
when I jumped off. Okay, fair. I jumped off of Twitter.
So did I.
Yeah, I jumped off of that. So I am on TikTok, I am on LinkedIn, I am on Instagram, and I am on Facebook, which my kids joke about that Facebook is still good. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm on Facebook.
Okay. All right. Tonitia.
So I am also across my three main social medias in my link tree, which is Linktree Enrichment Strategist, and in there you can reach out to me via Tonitia Baker Langley on Facebook. But my main point of connection of business is through LinkedIn, which is Tonitia Baker Langley. But I have a business Facebook page, but my main route, and I encourage everyone that's in business, is one of the best B2B services out there. I've gotten clients off of LinkedIn. That's where I'm very active on
Yes,
Facebook
is.
as well.
You are a boy. You send her a message on LinkedIn, she'll get right back to you.
Yes, ma'am. That is how I have closed some deals, Miss Jackie. Yes, ma'am.
I like LinkedIn too. Ali.
Can she hear you?
Ali?
Oh, I was thinking Gricelda was going. Sorry. All right. So I am on LinkedIn as Alicia J. Alexander MSL. MSL stands for Masters of Science in Leadership. I'm on Instagram as I am Alicia J. Alexander. I'm on Facebook as Alicia Alexander. So those are my places that I hang out.
Okay.
Absolutely. I can be found. I have a business page and a regular page on Facebook. My business page is Life Changing Therapeutic Services, or Gricelda Ramsey. Either one of those will probably get you to either page. Also, I have a business page and a personal page on personal login on Instagram. Also, and that's we know that Instagram and Facebook are connected, so they probably would get you to either one. But my business Instagram is Life Changing Therapeutic gr.gr, which is my name, Gricelda Ramsey. I'm also on TikTok as the Solutions Therapist. And I'm on LinkedIn as Gricelda Ramsey. So you can find me on any of those platforms.
Yeah, I'm not really on TikTok. So everyone, you can find me on Facebook. I'm actually on Facebook and Instagram under Realizing Your Potential 123, as well as my personal account on Facebook, which is under Dr. Jacqueline Kaba-Harrison, and under my name, Dr. Jacqueline Kaba-Harrison, as well for LinkedIn. And yes, that's everything. All right. So thank you all so much for joining us for our discussion around the power of a positive mindset. Please, refer individuals to the network to come and check us out. We are streaming on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, as well as Apple TV,
Oh, very good.
as well as Apple Podcasts. And what's the other one? Spotify. Oh, and also the app is available on iOS. So if you got an iPhone or if you got an Android, you can get it off of there as well. So no excuse. You can check us out. Definitely grab the app, download it, check out this particular episode and the others, and give us a good rating. That way we can grow and continue to have a larger impact
Absolutely.
on women and men around the globe. All right. So thanks again. And until next time, remember, A Queen's Roundtable show and podcast streams every Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. And until next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.